There are a ton of S&P 500 stocks reporting earnings on February 11th, and what I did today was something a little different. As you can see, here are stocks that are reporting earnings February 11th. There's a bunch of components, and what I did was individually look at each chart and then pick out 4 that I believe have potential trade setups happening right now that could be fueled by earnings activity. So we're going to look at those 4. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm seeing across price, time, and momentum because I'm writing that's what I do. First up, ticker HUM, Humana. Now this is a stock that's been pretty much beaten up, even though it's a higher price stock. But you can see that I have 2 things in place here that if they were able to happen, I think could allow for further upside. First of all, I believe that there's a possibility that this market wants to make a tradable low soon. I don't necessarily think it's the low from February 2nd. We might retest that, and that might set up a nice disconnect between price and momentum that suggests that shares may be wanting to move higher after that, okay? So I don't think we're ready to act just yet. I think there might be a little retest of the lows. If that happens, then I think there's likelihood of a move higher that could see a return to the 50% retracement of the current down move. Obviously, if we break the price low, you'd have to readjust the retracement. Now, let's just remove that for a second and let's look at the actual current price action, because I always like being prepared for the alternate scenario, right? What if the thing that I think is going to happen doesn't, right? What if the opposite happens? Well, the opposite of trading lower would be trading higher. And if the shares are able to trade higher and get above the January 29th high, all of this consolidation and basing would be showing an upside break. And I think we'd have some further upside, though I think it might be more limited to, say, the 240 area. So this is one I think is actually prime for a move. You've got to pay close attention to earnings, though, okay? You do not need to trade this before earnings. You can absolutely wait till after. I'm just showing you what I see in the chart a day out. Let's look at the next one. Ticker NI is a stock that, as you can see, is in a very long-term upward channel, okay? Connected by the April 7th and September 4th lows from last year. It was confirmed again on January 5th. So the current little pullback here after testing the October 29th high, to me, it looks like it might have room to continue higher. So I would look at buying on a pullback while we stay above this old top from January 2nd. And your upside target would be this moving dash line. It's dashed because it's a projection of the bottom line. That's how I annotate my chart, so I know what's based on actual price data versus what is a projection, a parallel line. So that currently is landing around $47. Again, the longer this takes to unfold, the greater the upside target if we're using the parallel dash line as our target. Okay, ticker ALB. What I love about this stock is how on a daily time frame, it has been turning higher every time it hit the bull support power zone. So if you're not using my RSI Power Zones, you can literally see you're like leaving money on the table. Now, the current price action has been a pullback and it's brought us right back to the bull support power zone. So here is a relatively safe, not guaranteed, but safe place to go long. However, what you'd want to see is follow through above the high from February 4th, right? That's the most recent lower high. If we see that, then I think not only do we revisit the January 28th high, but extend probably to the 220 area initially from there. Now, on the flip side, again, alternate scenario, what if shares don't trade higher from current levels? Well, then what would be the next downside target? This is where I bring in 50% again, this time looking at a move lower, and that would be to the 142 area, as you can see here. Last but not least is KHC, Kraft Heinz. This is a weekly chart, and you can see that this stock, again, has been beaten up, pushed lower, but on a weekly time frame, a few weeks ago, it made a low at 21.99. That was literally just 1 penny below the midpoint of the week ending March 20th, 2020. Anyone remember what happened in late March 2020? Yeah, the pandemic low. So after all of this time, that stock has finally revisited those levels. That's a major, big time, long-term support. So when we take that and look at it in the more recent action, you can see we've had recovery higher. And while this probably needs to clear the $26 level for me to get excited about it, I think it's getting there. Okay, so I think this could be a stock that if it continues to move higher, gets above $26 near this November 28th week high, you could see a return to $29 and beyond. Looking at on the daily chart, the next level above that would be $33. So because this is a low price stock, the moves I'm expecting are going to be small dollar wise, but they're large percentage wise, right? When you look at them relative to the share price. So that's my 4 picks that are based on stocks reporting earnings tomorrow, February 11th. If you found value in this new little twist I did, where instead of just telling you stocks reporting, I actually looked for potential setups, or if you got reminders about technical analysis, go ahead and hit that like button and I'll catch you in the next video.